I do wonder if a teacher had said something that Jewish or Christian students found offensive, or made a joke about one of the Hindu gods, whether they'd have received death threats and been forced into hiding for the rest of them. But this is not allowed. A Christian woman praying silently in her own head outside an abortion clinic.
That's what I used to do. So I'll ask you once more, will you voluntarily come with us now to the police station for me to ask you some questions about today and other days where there are allegations that you've broken public space of protection?
Why is criticizing Islam a death sentence? So this video is about the man who recently got shot and executed by Muslims for burning the Quran in Sweden.
It seems like you get a death sentence in the Western world if you dare to criticize aspects of the Islamic faith. In Sweden, this man, who admittedly took things to the absolute extreme in a bid to make his feelings known, regularly burnt copies of the Quran. 'Last night, he was shot dead in his apartment. Now, I don't condone setting fire to copies of the Quran, and I absolutely see how that could cause anger. But just think about this. If somebody set fire to a copy of the Bible or the Torah, would they be shot dead in their own home? I suspect not. In France, teacher Samuel Paty was falsely accused of showing obscene pictures of the Prophet Muhammad to school children. That was a lie. A girl who wasn't even in his class at the time made it up. He was beheaded in the street by an Islamist.
Wow. See, and that is the difference with Islam compared to everything else, all other faiths in the whole world, is that in their text, they are not only allowed to, but are encouraged to execute people that blaspheme Allah or their prophets, their so-called fake prophet. And this is a big example that he makes right here, and I fully agree with him. If you burn the Torah or if you burn the Bible, Christians are not going to persecute or, I mean, let alone execute somebody for that horrific action.
Oh, that was Charlie Hebdo, didn't we? They ran a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad on their front cover. Then this happened. Good. 12 people were killed because of that front cover. We all know about the Batley Grammar School incident where a teacher remains in police hiding with his family after allegedly showing a picture of the Prophet to some kids, and people gathered outside the school gate calling for his blood. There was a mob outside that school for days.
The incident from Monday, 22nd of March must also be investigated from a criminal perspective, yes, given that it was a clear attempt to stir up religious hatred. We also use this opportunity to call upon the entire British Muslim community to review the materials being taught in their children's schools.
Now,
Wow. And what's so fascinating is that they're so focused on the hatred against the religion or just the persecution, being Islamophobic, all these things. They'll say all these things. But what about the 12 people that lost their lives? What about the person that got beheaded? What about this person that's protesting? You have the freedom of speech to do whatever you want in the Western world. You can burn the Quran, the Bible, whatever. You can do whatever you want as long as it's not harming others. But what do these people do? Because of their hurt feelings, they can execute somebody? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And especially as a Christian, we cannot condone this. We cannot do this because it's ridiculous. We can't condone these actions at all because it's horrific. And I even saw on Instagram that some people were celebrating the death of this Christian Iraqi who was killed for burning the Quran. They were celebrating it. So this is not just, these are the radical fringes of the religion. This is a lot of people that are celebrating this action.
I do wonder if a teacher had said something that Jewish or Christian students found offensive, or made a joke about one of the Hindu gods, whether they'd have received death threats and been forced into hiding for the rest of their lives. And then there was the autistic child who accidentally scuffed a copy of the Quran at school. He also received death threats, and his mum had to go to the local Islamic centre and beg for forgiveness.
I've had to call the police. He has received death threats. He has received threats that he will be beaten up if he goes back to school. He's absolutely petrified. But I don't want anybody to be prosecuted.
Yet again, I'll ask, if a copy of the Bible had been scuffed, would we have seen the parents of a hypothetical Muslim child forced into a church to beg for their child's life? I doubt it. It does appear to be a potential death sentence if you do something, even accidentally, that offends certain elements of the Muslim community. I wonder whether that's why this is allowed. Or even why this is allowed.
So they can have, so Muslims, and again, I'm all for freedom of speech, freedom of religious expression, and all of that. And here we have this footage, and I believe this is in Britain, since this is from the Great Britain News YouTube channel right here. So we have all these films, all this footage of people expressing themselves as rightly as they can, and that's completely fine. But if another side, Christians, atheists, Jews, whomever, if they want to express themselves, they have to basically be persecuted and death threats are sent to them. That's the thing. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it where you're allowed to have free expression in society, which Muslims do in Great Britain. They absolutely do. This is very clear. But then say, as a Christian, we're not allowed to protest another religion peacefully. Absolutely ridiculous.
But this is not allowed. A Christian woman praying silently in her own head outside an abortion clinic.
That's what you're doing. Is you standing to be part of the protest?
No. I'm not protesting.
Are you praying?
I might be praying in my head.
So I'll ask you once more, will you voluntarily come with us now to the police station for me to ask you some questions about today and other days where there are allegations that you've broken public space of protection?
If I've got a choice, then no.
Wow. So this is just like the George Orwell 1984 book right here, being a fact in Britain right there. This woman is basically not even moving, just standing in one place, no weapons, no threatening verbal words being used, nothing like that. And the police, just for what she's thinking, she could be in violation of the law just for whatever she's thinking, not even saying anything. Britain has really fallen. Unbelievable.
I wonder if that fear of being put on some kind of hit list is why police seem to bend over backwards to please some aspects of the Muslim community.
Salam alaikum. There is one tier of policing that applies to all of us, and that means that we police without fear or favour. Shukran.
Would police ever ask for permission from the elders to address a Christian audience, as indeed another police officer did at that time as well? Again, I doubt it. And if a group of Jewish people attacked a police station, or even, let's just say, a group of football fans, would you not expect the police to come out and deal with them with force? Well, over to Rochdale now.
We saw you! We know you're in there! Come out! Explain yourself! Why has only one officer been suspended? What about the rest of them?
I don't think the particular community in that clip got in much trouble. Why not? Look, I don't think anyone should go out and set fire to a copy of the Quran, or needlessly offend Muslims or be Islamophobic. But what I am saying is there appears to be only one religion in Europe where you might be shot, stabbed or beheaded if you cause offence to some of its followers. Let's get thoughts from my panel this evening. We've got...
Wow, that's just a great way to sum it up right there. I'll put the video of this in the description section. That's all I'm going to play. But he sums it up so well, and this is such a huge issue, I think, that isn't talked about enough in the West. Despite these catastrophic events that are going on, people don't want to talk about how people are literally getting executed, children getting death threats, an autistic person getting death threats. I mean, it's madness. It's bullying, it's harassment, absolutely threatening to people's lives and livelihood. Britain, which is I mean, technically considered a Christian country now, I believe the majority is not Christian at this point, where it's about 50-50 with atheists and Muslims rising in Britain right now. Same as in the decline in the United States as far as Christians are concerned. But like, there's just a lack of respect for the immigrants, at least Muslim immigrants that are coming over, when these radicals are having this much power and influence over society. It is a huge issue. We need to spread the word of the man that got executed unjustly. This man right here, this Christian man, Iraqi refugee, who's very anti-Islam and against Muslim, or not against Muslims, but against the religion of Islam. Again, as a Christian, we're called to love everybody. I love everybody, regardless of religious faiths, regardless of anything in that sense. It's the ideas and the ideology that I despise and hate. I despise Judaism for their absolute hatred of our Lord Jesus Christ, and just not accepting him as the Messiah, but instead viewing him as an idol, which is completely false and blasphemous. I despise Judaism for that. And the list can go on and on, but that's one thing I'm very much against. As far as a greater Israel plan that's going on with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, trying to do that and kick millions of people off their original homeland into Egypt just to have more land for the modern state of Israel, I'm completely against that. So this is not just a completely anti-Islam rhetoric or whatever, because I'm not here for that. I'm not against Muslims in any way, but Islam I am. There's lots of issues with it. I know I said a lot there, but thank you all so much for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Spread the word, guys. Spread the word about this, because this person is not getting talked about enough in the media. We're talking so much about politics, so much about Trump being elected and all this stuff, and government this, government that, and no one's talking about this man who was executed for expressing his belief. Albeit it's an extreme form, sure, but in this clip right here, you see he's just on his own, just burning the Quran, expressing his hatred for Islam, and he got executed for it. And this is a sad day for justice here, because I hope those people get justice and they go to jail and forever, at a minimum. But yeah, again, please comment below your thoughts. Thank you all so much for listening.